Yeah, man. Welcome back, man. Welcome back, Strings. Good
Yeah,
to see you,
man.
man.
Glad to be back.
Man, it's been what was the
Few
last
weeks
time?
ago,
Was it a
innit?
couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah, it was. Time flying. March is over.
Real talk, man. Real talk. Um, I got something for you.
Ooh, like surprises. Pause.
I want you to I want to hear your thoughts on this quote I have for you. I was gonna message it to you uh over the weekend, but I thought to myself, you know what? Let me um let me wait. Let me save it. And I
Yeah,
and I
no,
and
man.
I
Live reaction is always the best.
yeah, okay. This is the quote.
Mm.
It says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it faith. Did you get that? I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Until you make the unconscious conscious,
Mm.
it will direct your life
Hmm.
and you will call it faith.
Yes. Ooh.
What do you think?
Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. Yes. I need. You know what? I'm gonna put this on my bio somewhere. Because I
Yeah, I
don't know
thought
where
you'd
I
like that
heard
one.
it. Of course, man. Yeah, I just put it in there as well. But let me. They say a magician is always on time.
Yeah, man.
If I was a tattoo person, that's something I'd tattoo on me. I swear. Um,
Yeah, for me personally, this speaks to everything, man. When you talk about life and the experiences and what we go through and all different type of things. But the ultimate thing I would say is be careful of what you allow to program you, or be careful what type of programs you allow, or what type of programs you follow. You know, what type of
Absolutely.
frequency do you subscribe to? And when you say that, that goes into all different types of cultures, especially
Mm.
religion.
I think that is the biggest one that um, once you do realize how to make the unconscious conscious, that runs in every part of your thinking. Even when you think about it, it's still part of your thinking.
Mm,
Um, so, and my response to earlier is just that I was catching up with a friend of mine at work,
yeah,
and ever since she changed her environment, this has also been lingering about the next my next piece I want to drop for my blog.
yeah,
Um, she moved her environment, but what also moved is what allowed her to take the blinds off for her to appreciate what she always was.
mm,
And in the spirit of her getting her light back, she
yeah,
said something very
Hastings
um
Direct is simple. Great cover,
she said
quality
something
product,
that would allow me to
plus one of the
she said something that will allow me to put into practice right now, which was
mm,
sometimes we're told to wait for change to come, depending on the circumstance or the situation. But there's also a time where you should go after the change that you're seeking. And um, I think it conspires with a familiar quote from an artist of a favorite of mine that said, sometimes the work is also being patient. So when it comes to, asking or working towards a magnificent life change like a job, house, person, circumstances, whatever it is, I always believe that it takes a heavy shift for you to adjust to that being made. Otherwise, it's like they say people who win the lottery go broke in what, less than 2 years or 5 years or whatever, because they can't process the fact that their life could just change like immediately. And it's such an interesting stat as well, because it's like, raw, if anyone woke up tomorrow and realized that they won 100 mil, bro, you would even know who you are, because it's like it's just breaking so many paradigms of what you've been made to believe and understand, that will bring it out of you to then be like, oh shit, I got to face this person now. So yeah, very, very powerful quote. I think that applies to right now, because I feel with more understanding, you get to decide how much of an impact you have with fate.
Yeah. Just tapping into what you said about the winning $1 million situation. I see it slightly a little bit different, because I think what happens is, but it ultimately it's the same thing in terms of like putting it, like if you were to put a bow tie on it, it's lack of preparation. But in a different way, in a sense where like, yes, you get this money, but you weren't prepared. You weren't prepared for what it takes to maintain this
Absolutely.
this money that you've kind of just come into. You know, I think ultimately that's what it is. There's a certain rites of passage that comes with everything. That's why sacrifice is so, it's imminent to success. You have to go through something to become something. And ultimately you didn't go through anything. You literally just got this thing, but you never actually worked for it. So you didn't understand what it would take to keep it. And so you end up in a situation where easy come, easy go.
Right.
Just had a bit of disturbance there. Yeah, so it's easy come, easy go. So you know that's the thing, and ultimately, the biggest thing is discipline. You know, you might say certain people might be able to like figure out how to somewhat maintain, but you never really have the discipline, so you lack consistency. You're not willing to do what it takes all the time to make sure that you maintain constantly, maintain consistency. And so you ultimately end up over time just gradually mowing yourself down until ultimately you lose what you have. So you know it also brings me back to, for example, what we do. Like, you know, there's the way I see, like, you know, a craftsman. Like, you know, just for example, just being a writer, the way I do it. You know, you, for example, you have a job, right?
Right.
And I see them differently. I think, you know, being a writer, a craftsperson, um, on a larger scale, it's like, you know, it's a big thing in my eyes. And a job is somewhat of different. If you become successful as a writer on the scale that we want to be, that's a career because you love it. You get me? But if you're a 9 to 5 person, that's just a job. If you move if you move to another country right now, you've lost a job. If you move to another country, right, but on the other end, I'll just flip it now. But if you move, if you're a writer, you move to another country, you're still a writer in another country. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's two different. It's two different type of situation, and so and that's pretty much how I see it. It's like going back to your analogy now. Just me just flipping on his head.
Mhm.
Ultimately, you're a fool with money, aren't you? Before you were just a
Yeah,
fool,
yeah,
but
yeah.
now you're a fool with money.
Mm.
And ultimately, you return to being a fool without money eventually, because you didn't know, you wasn't enlightened. You lacked enlightenment,
Yeah.
and so you revert back to what you were because you weren't worthy, as they say. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Before I
Always.
say anything else, I just want to
Mm.
say this: R.I.P. George Foreman.
Yes, I read the title. R.I.P. man.
Man, when I saw that, because it probably been I think it might have been out, but I
Are
think
you a
it's
boxing
recent.
fan?
Yes, I am. I'm still a novice to a degree, but I do pay
Right.
attention. Um,
Hard not to, depending on who's
yeah,
fighting.
yeah.
Mm.
Especially these
Absolutely.
days, I try to I always wake up in the morning, after the night of the fight, and just find
Highlights
the quality
everywhere.
fights that's
Yeah.
usually out there. And I've been going back for a while now, just going back to old fights and just
Mm.
watching them, and just I'm a movement person, so I pay attention to movements across different sports. You know, that's one thing. That's one of the reasons why I've always sort of been captivated by boxing. It's just
Endurance.
the artistry behind it.
Mm.
The movement, the angles. When you see it done right, when you see it done by the greats, man, it's something special.
Flawless. Absolutely. Flawless.
It's something special, and it always bring back that saying where, like, there's certain things you can't teach. You have to experience it. You have to be worthy
Oh.
to catch a glimpse of, or even be able to see it. You know what I mean? And just know what it takes to see it in the bed, like just bare, and in its purest form. And I think that's a beautiful thing, man. So sometimes when I watch sport, it's really just that. I'm just paying attention to angles, the force, and the movement, and the science behind it. Because that's the type. That's how I watch sports these days. But yeah,
Mm.
boxing, no doubt, man. It's great. One of the best when you talk about just pure just pure raw with it is obviously
Mm.
Tyson,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think perhaps not, but I would still say he's somewhat a little bit um an underdog when it comes to the type of technician that he is.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? He's quite the technician, and there's certain things that he does that it's not happening if he didn't know the angles. He wasn't such a master of the
Right.
sport
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
begin with, but also the angles and the science behind it. He wasn't. He's one of them people where he's just so in tuned to the matrix of what he
I call
does.
that a
Like when he
science,
was,
though.
yeah, yeah, when
That's
he
another
was,
level of science.
yeah, and that's why sometimes you hear him talk, and people probably would say, I think a lot of people assume these days, especially that the way he speaks is down to some of the experience he has with, like, because he talk about mushrooms all the time, the drugs and all
Yeah.
kind of stuff he's done.
It's funny you say that. I think he's on a journey, and I can't remember who I was having this conversation with, but and even you highlighting his technique being
Mm,
somewhat not as accentuated with his other colleagues in that
yeah,
space. He is such a character, and that will easily be overlooked on top
Yeah.
of the wins as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's great to see him really use his tools that he has exposed, that he's finding, to help him say, you know what, like there was more to life than just becoming a champion. And as most others, they just fall back into being quiet, but he's using his platforms to shed light on what he's learning. So it's like he's a novice at life.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful as well.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he is. I think he's enlightened.
Okay.
And I think that's why he speaks like that, the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And I only say that because of what he's been through. You have to remember, he lived a lot of life.
Yeah.
When you speak about people that have been through a lot, that's people that's lived a lot. And he's been through a lot.
I feel writers have as well, but that's another conversation. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that because I'm just speaking about just his boxing journey. I think that was where the enlightenment began. And then after that, it's just he lived a life of enlightenment beyond that.
Yeah.
But before that, he probably some would argue he took the devil's journey to get to this God mode. Do you understand?
Yeah. I feel we do the same thing, honestly, as writers, because the amount of silence we have to become comfortable with, yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. I've heard him speak about his son and or his family, and you know, he's spoken in a sense where, like, you know, his son might mention that I would like to be a boxer, etc., that type of thing, and he was like to him, nah, man, you're not built for it. You get what I mean?
So would you say, is that preordained?
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's very interesting because it's a little bit conflicting for me, as much as I was thinking about preordainment and not.
It's a powerful word as well.
I think it's kind of like, you know, when they speak about, you know, the God, the external God, as opposed to the internal God. Which one matters more? Which one do you believe more? Which one do you pay attention more? Do you get what I mean? It's like, man, I'm betting on me. So that means the internal God matters more than any other God, right?
Yeah.
So,
How you spun that, 100%.
But with that being said, what does that mean for preordainment?
In that,
does that mean I preordained myself? Or somebody else put this crown on my head like you're preordained? Because, you know,
definitely
somewhat paradoxical.
That's the point. I'll die on this hill. If we had life figured out, cut the game off. Honestly, because like it's when you can't move past like things that juxtapose one another is when you just become at a standstill. But and that's what makes this thing what it is why there's always a not new, but an interesting or personal way to describe this journey. So when someone does it in a way that is fresh, authentic, or personal, doesn't matter what tricks they use, as long as there's life force within it, that's all that matters, man. And I feel that's what everyone's complaining about is missing in any genre. of whatever, storytelling, sports, music, fashion, art. People are like, where is it? And they go back to nostalgia, thinking that's where it was. And it's like, no, we had more of that. You couldn't enter certain spaces if that wasn't on the forefront of what you do. And now, social media is like the big, I don't even want to say social media, the internet has just flipped it on its head to be like, you can find shortcuts and
Mm.
be successful, but what your mantra is that when someone pulls up on you and says, can you do this? Do you have the endurance? It will show you very quickly that you don't.
Yeah.
And we see it every day. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
and even go back to George Foreman, and I don't know his story. Apologies to those who will watch this, but
Rumble in the Jungle. That was Foreman.
right, I'm not familiar with his story, but other than take it, what, like, he was a champion, probably took a break, and then put on his entrepreneurial hat. Like, come on, do you know what I mean? He's as famous as the product that made him famous. Like,
Yeah.
that's no small feat in itself. So even the endurance for having to have that in business as well that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely feel you or us, we ordain ourselves, man. And there are things at play that help give you the nudge to be like, okay, you're going in the right direction. And I think that is what lets us not turn into like egotistical maniacs. Because when you do that, you're always shown, every story that I love shows you very quickly what that looks like. When you start saying, I don't need God,
Mm.
I run this show, and it's like, yeah, cool, no worries. Because I think that's when you start to lose the disconnect between who you are and what you're meant to do, and thinking
Mm.
that you're untouchable.
Good point. Good point. So, George Foreman, 2 times world heavyweight champion
Hmm.
and an Olympic gold medalist.
Come on.
And obviously, in namesake, the George Foreman grill.
Yes. Yeah, man.
You know? But you said something, I had this quote the other day, and it basically said, only respect professionals, like, or experts in their fields
Mm.
in any capacity. So, and across the board as well. So, not necessarily jack of all trades. We're talking about
Yes.
somebody that
Specialist.
knows a lot about some one thing
Mm.
that you can speak on a high level about this one thing.
Mm.
Those are the type of people, because it takes you to somewhat single out one thing to be a master, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to trying to do everything and falling short because it's impossible. You have to choose. Unless you're speaking over like a lifetime, in which case we don't live that long that you could do
Yeah.
such a thing.
Hmm.
So yes, I would agree with you. People only respect the expert in a field, which normally you tend to be one field, a master of a field, and so that's the only way to speak that language and speak it fluently and speak it with color. And
Mm.
so you can paint, paint with freedom, paint with glee and enthusiasm, and you can somewhat give that energy to somebody else. Let them feel it or see it the
Ooh.
way you see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Serious.
So it's an interesting thing, man. But yes, I don't know. Maybe I'm conflicted because perhaps this preordainment situation is it's a two-way street. But for me personally, if I had to bet on one, I would say myself.
Yeah, as you should.
I would say myself.
Because
It's preordained because I say it is.
Mhm.
I choose it to be.
Right.
And then after that, it is what it is.
Damn straight. Because I think what comes with that is once you own that, the nudges that come, the people you
Mm,
meet, the gut feelings you get, the omens, if you believe in them, they all say, "Look, bro, you're headed in the right direction."
yeah.
Because you've put every day you're increasing your trust in yourself.
Mm,
So when you speak on professionals or experts, we are way past gone the days where they only need to be on TV saying expert in this. Do you know what I mean? Like we all know people in our journeys that if you needed an answer about
yeah.
a certain thing, whatever the field, you know who to go to because they'd be an expert in your eyes.
It's real talk. Real talk.
So yeah, man, the complexity of it all, to me, I see it as fun. And it even made me think about the conversation we had about where I appreciate the Joker more for his insight. Like what I was basically saying is that he is a genius in his own right because he just lets the ball roll. He was born with it. He knew he was something special, and
Who was that? Sorry.
the Joker.
Oh, the Joker.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, "Listen, I'm really there." Like, because he has a discipline to setting up, the heists. Um, are one of the best scenes in modern cinema is from The Dark Knight. The intro, how he organizes the bank heist. What? Like strategic and artistic to the T. But most people will overlook that because he's a madman.
There
But
you
that's what
go.
I'm saying. So
Ah.
having the fun with um, life being complex is where I start to release control. And the
Mm,
preordainment part for me is like things will be all right because I say so.
that's real. That's real.
Instead of me sitting down and worrying about how it's going to turn out.
Mm,
So it's about healthy relationship with things of that nature because otherwise you won't move forward. You just say, hey, push me or like spell it out for me. And it's like, hey, look, we're not going to do all that. But trust and believe these visions, these dreams that you want to fulfill, these goals that you want to tick off, they are your driving force.
real talk. Real talk. Question for you.
Yes.
And just staying on topic as we were speaking about Joker, right?
Mhm.
Is that is what he has a skill or talent? Do you think?
Talent.
Oh, you think it's talent? Yeah.
Talent first. Talent is what you're born with, correct?
Mm,
And then the skill is what you harness.
mm. I've been thinking about this whole idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
What differentiates talent from essence?
Oh, bro. Wait. Shit. We're going down my path.
Yeah.
Uh, but I love it
Yeah, I'm just
because
curious.
it's like our worlds really intertwine. And when I say that, it's like how we see life, and it's literally how we like. Yeah, man. Um, talent. And I'm gonna make this a thing where I'm gonna write down the quotes as well. So what differentiates talent from essence? Yeah, don't watch the spelling because English is not my language. Um, when I hear essence, I hear spirit.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, oh, bingo. Talent. Everyone has a talent. But essence is when you feel someone trying to get you to see what it is that you see. And that
Mm.
level of emotion is what
Yeah.
is when a man says, I will make a film and I don't care if only one person is in the audience. That man is me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, because only, and to quote you, only a madman will care so passionately about sharing something that he feels he needs to share to free himself
Mm.
for it. It's like I don't play by these stories, bro. That I really don't. They help me evolve. They help me see me in
Yeah.
different stages. So um the only thing that will make me want to pursue me getting better with my talent is the responsibility it has to me saying that because this helps me with this art form, I feel like I
Yeah.
must do my best to help others. But it's not on some like I'm here to save you. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yeah.
if you knew how deep like this thing goes, once you stop getting like lost and scared, you'll then say, you know what, I'm that beacon of light in this darkness, and
Mm.
trust me, we're gonna go on a cosmic highway of
Oof.
understanding who you are. Do you know what I'm saying? Because all these things we do, bro, is just to help people understand who they are. That's it.
There you go. You got it in one. Yeah, that's the real stuff. I mean, the way I see it, because me personally, I've always
Mhm.
known myself to be an obsessive, but it's only when I came of age that I realized,
Mm.
man, it takes being that type of person to be elite at anything. And
Mm.
I start to see the commonality across people, the great people that somewhat are obvious obsessives, like the Jordans, the Kobe's.
Mm.
They're all obsessives. Do you get what I mean?
True. I agree to a point. Um, my personal take was in the fields that they're in, they
Mm,
get all the passes to do that because I feel like the mantle that they put themselves on in that sport is
mm.
justifiable. But when I'm hearing some of the things that Jordan would do and how he would treat others is where I had to draw the line. I'm like, I don't believe greatness means I need to shit on
Hold up,
people.
hold up, hold up. Now, not that I disagree with what you're saying, but remember how we started this conversation? I said to you,
Mm-hmm.
we're not looking for greatness across the board. We're just looking for mastery, great mastery in one
Yes.
direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True.
You get what I mean?
Mm.
So it's like, and that's what being an obsessive is. It's like, fuck the world. If I could just have this one thing for myself, that's all I care about.
Oh, okay. What when I came to age, um, was when I asked myself for many years, if I never wrote a film, would I would I abandon myself?
Mm,
And eventually I came to the answer, no, I wouldn't because um I'm me first, writer second. And what that means is my mantra is that you are what you become. So in that sense is what I try and say, that when you take care of yourself, what it is that you're meant to do, you'll do that to the fullest. Because then
Okay, I got
it put I
a
take
counter
that
for that.
essence outside of myself, and then it's like, okay, I put myself on this. If I don't put, it's like I put myself on the mantle, as opposed to no, I put my talent on the mantle and saying, yes, I've done that, but I just never seen the whole point of like the I disintegrate after I've done it kind of thing. It's just like, nah, still, if I never make a hit single, what am I washed? It's like, no, I'm still great. It's just that's just the game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, to that degree, I agree. And that's something. It brought me back to a point I was thinking about. Has it been a couple of weeks ago, or is it last month? And I suppose maybe I came to this epiphany because I was just thinking about this thing. And as much as it's a part of the whole thing, the part of the whole goal I have. That but I think I see it different now in terms of like it's not necessarily an aim. It's just it's a part of the accolade, it's a perks of what I do. It's perks of the success that I want for myself. It just happens by default. Do you get what I mean? It's kind of like, just a quick example. They say you chase the money, but by default, women comes with it.
right, 100%.
So, and in my mind, I was thinking to myself, man, it takes being this person, like being famous and doing this to be like, oh man, you know what? This is what it looks like to be that guy that
True.
say, oh man, I'm not right, etc., etc.
Completely
But I had
agree.
it twisted. And I realized I had it the wrong way around. Being successful is me loving it every day and just doing it and not looking for any praise, which is who I am anyway,
Mm,
and just enjoying it for what it is and being true to the craft.
absolutely.
And even if I have to work to support myself so I can do it, this is what it is.
Mm,
But if I become successful and perhaps a little bit of fame along the way or something like that, that's just perks of the job.
yeah.
You get what I
Because
mean?
then the weight, absolutely, because the weight that comes with that is also what you prepare for while you're doing the craft. It's why when some people get confused when someone who's like stupid famous and they're like, they don't know how to talk in an interview because they're like, bro, I didn't sign up for this. I know it comes with it, but that doesn't mean I need to be completely well spoken and deliver my acting skills in an
Yeah,
interview, or like, let me do some content just to keep the buzz going. It's just like, nah, they're not for that. But the perks are perks for a reason. I don't work my job and they tell me they don't give me shit or because other than just a paycheck. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
inducive to give someone or anyone that contributes amount of time to something benefits to what they get doing that. It's just like you said, when you become lost is where the issues arrive. So definitely, the mastery is, yeah. I in that sense, I agree. The obsession, because it's just like, rah, what would it look like? That's my one. What would it look like if I got better and better and better, and like, what would it look like? So
exactly. And I see life so differently now. The more and more I know about life and what it takes and
mm,
what liberation looks like, what freedom looks like, the more and more I understand that everything in life is consistency and discipline. You get what I mean? If
Definitely.
you want to be anything in life consistently, you need consistency.
Yeah.
But to be consistent, you have to have discipline by default. And they're like two peas in a pod. Like you can't have one without the
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah. Because it's scary if I lose it
Yeah,
because of not having the discipline. And I'm like, boy. And even at the start of this um talk or episode, I should say, is yeah, when what my friend told me about moving, what changing your environment allows you to see within yourself,
yeah,
to sustain that frequency of that new life, cost discipline. As they say, what are you willing to do to maintain that the goodness that comes with what you're asking for is no joke. You know what I mean?
that's the
So, and I
sacrifice.
feel that, yeah, and I feel that is what um is the headline for my life right now. It's like I'm
Mm,
seeing it everywhere. People are like, yo, I want change and I'm tired of this job, or I want to go after I want to start painting again. I want to do whatever it is. And I see that look on their face and I'm like, what are you willing to do that you didn't do the last time? Do you know what I'm saying? And when I ask
yeah.
themselves that, I ask myself that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, who am I? You know?
Mm,
Who am I?
yes. And that's what I'm saying, man. And this is why I say discipline, because if
Mm,
you just pick discipline by itself, you can't be disciplined without sacrifice.
mm,
Because to say you're gonna find time for some stuff, and something is gonna get neglected. Something you're gonna have to overlook something, or be like, you know what, this is expendable. I'm gonna have to step away from this, no matter
yeah,
how important that thing is.
yeah,
By prioritizing something, you're ignoring something else, or you're
mm,
rescheduling something else. In which case, that doesn't get your time as much as this thing.
yeah,
So it's a magnanimous thing. So going back to what we were talking about with the obsession situation now with
mhm,
Kobe, and I think those are just facets of what being an obsessive
yeah,
looks like sometimes.
yeah. They're great examples.
When what it takes, and those are the sacrifices made to get what they want.
Mm,
I might end up looking like an asshole. I might have to punch somebody in the face.
yeah,
I might have to kick them off the team because he had the
mm,
power to do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I might not. This guy might not make the dream team because you know what, he might mess with my win. And you know,
Mm.
Jordan was all about winning.
Like
I think these are
insane.
some of the things. You get what I mean? These are some of the things that we see. Um, Perhaps at this point, we can just say these are some of the sacrifices that certain people made in order to get that success. Different levels of success along the way, but what they're looking for, to end up in this very place where it's just like, man, a role model, somebody that it's like, I mean, at this point, people are really calling him the basketball god. Do you get what I mean?
I hear it though.
No, I mean like fanatics, not necessarily me and you, because we're not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
fanatics when it comes to
I hear it. I
mm,
hear where they're coming from
because
because it's
just to add this part, when I think about stuff like that, I think those are other forms of religion. Those are all other forms of cultures.
ooh. Yeah, but I understand it as well.
Mm,
If I was in that
yeah,
world, if I idolized the sport, the craft, and I couldn't be in the game, I'd be consuming everything. I understand. And for those, they need that. Um, I love the what's the saying about the whole Colosseum thing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see it with football fans. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I love football, not as much as like people who I know personally, um, and they know what team did this and this, but the sport is beautiful. And some of my favorite players were craftsmen in their positions. But
Mm.
the whole concept of showing up for your team, or as they say, your army, to defend against another city. Yes, it's deep. That's where it comes from. Like, I get that they need that. They need to let that out. Do you know what I'm saying?
They do. They do. And you know, just going back to what you're saying as well, these are all different forms of knowledge of self
Definitely.
and ways of somewhat knowledge of other people or giving back.
Mm.
And you know, we're speaking about knowledge of self and a craft, which is quite intertwined with knowledge of self, because the more you have knowledge of
Yes.
self, the better you are at your craft.
Yes.
But also the greater the experiences. And so there's an affinity there, that dual relationship, in a sense where not only do you feel this affinity towards this craft, but you also empathize with people that don't know it.
Yeah.
And so now you want to bring them closer.
Mm.
And somewhat it's like a motivation to be great, just so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what
Of
greatness looks
course.
like.
Of
You get what I
course.
mean?
Of course, man. I love this shit because it's like, rah, that idea that I think about, what if it could turn into, it could be on this platform, and the way the bystanders would be like, oh, I know that. Oh, okay. I didn't know it was that deep, or it was really good, or I binged
Yeah.
it in the one night. It's like, what made you binge it? Do you even know what made you binge it? And if you knew, like, would that set you off on a quest to discover yourself?
Yeah, yeah. And it's also the idea that, you know what, man, how they get that? How they get that? How did they figure this out? And you know, going back to the basketball situation,
Hmm.
the way it is, it's like they see Jordan and most people are like, man, I don't know how to get to Jordan's level. But
Yeah.
they see Steph Curry and they're like, oh man, I could do that.
Okay.
You get what I
But could
mean?
they though?
Not really.
Yeah,
But
but I
but
get it.
in terms of like the work ethic, it's more attainable
Yeah. Right.
because Jordan was a combination of not just work ethic, well, I think it's lion's share more work ethic than anything.
Mm.
But to begin with, he had to be greatly talented
Mm.
to do some of the things that people admired him for. Like, you know,
Oh.
the being able to jump out the gym,
Hmm.
the speed, the agility, the quickness,
Yeah.
the slick, and more than anything, the essence.
Yeah. But I'll throw in what I said as well about environment. I watched a movie. I don't know how accurate it is to the film
Mm.
people. Listen, you lot aren't gonna phase me, but I'm telling you, like, they don't see film like how I do, but I digress. So I don't know how accurate it is. The environment, his parents who saw it early and was like, what? You think I'm gonna put this boy in, like, making him do like things that are not on his path, which is what his essence was so loud,
Yeah.
is when, like, because in the film, Viola Davis plays his mother, and she says, listen, nothing is flying past me without me knowing that he
Mm.
is going to be in an environment and with people that will support his gift. Anything else is non-negotiable. And she made that clear. And these were in the times where, like, we had it. They were like, "Wait, what? Excuse me? Who are you to talk like that about with demands and saying?" She was like, "Listen, this is God in the flesh, okay? So you're not gonna pay attention."
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And the environment thing for me right now is because I've seen witness to what it can do to people. It brings back their light in their eyes. You know, that's not something to play around with.
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. But isn't that part of the human experience, though?
Definitely,
Just having
definitely, absolutely, it is. Because
that flare in your eye and the excitement, the light.
ultimately,
Yeah.
until you have that in yourself and you step with that everywhere, then it's like, oh, cool.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
And then a step
Because
further
I
will
think
be,
that's the ultimate goal.
no, definitely. Because then the further step will be, okay, just because I can stay in an environment for long periods of time doesn't mean I need to stay here longer than I should. Let me just, yeah, like it's relationships,
True.
jobs, waiting for the environment to change when you should know what your environment is doing to you and getting the hell out of there.
Yeah. And it's tricky because it's also on topic of preordainment, and this is why I keep going back and forth. We always hear about the people that grew up in the craziest situations,
Yeah.
and they still decided this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to be, and they make it happen. And then you have the other people where they grew up in the same situation and they turn out to be the worst thing on the planet.
Oh, easy. There's a small number of folks that resonate to that calling, so to speak. Because I've asked myself that plenty of time. You give two men the same kind of information as me, and I've seen this. You give Sam man the same information as me. Why is it that I or those who they're like, you're onto something? Partially, I generally feel the reason is that their unconscious becoming conscious. Simple. Because I've sat there and I'm like, but we've read the same thing. And what we're reading is no small books, It's like shattering your matrix again and again and again. But why is it that you stay at a certain level? Why is it that you peak before me? In fact, you shouldn't be peaking. You shouldn't be peaking with what information you're exposing yourself to and the knowledge yourself that you claim to have. Why are you peaking? And it's because that's not for them. So then it becomes a costume. That's what I've been made to believe. Because people in your field, bro, you look at them, they say, don't judge a book by its cover. But something in is like, man, I don't know, And it's not even that you're trying to make assessments about people. It's just you're in the same space. So naturally, you're going to look around you and see who you can dialogue with and, do works with or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, it goes back to what you said last few weeks ago. It's just like, you'd rather go away from the tribe and do your own thing. Where was I said is that knowing your tribe is important because what that tribe is always going to do is venture out, gather new, information, and then come back and be like, long time, it's been a couple years, let's catch up until you're back in the wilderness again. Because it's like, yeah, there's never plenty, there's always a few. So
yeah, that's real. Man, it's interesting to think about.
Of course.
It's interesting to think about.
These are the real questions that need to be asked.
Yeah, but me personally, I think for me, it's a little bit more simple. I think it's a choice, man. You know, remember going back to what I was saying. You know, when I decided, man, this is what I want to be, like betting on myself,
Mm.
believing in the God in me as opposed to the God without me or the external. I think a lot of people, when they end up not being who they perhaps what they weren't supposed to be,
Mhm.
or lacking enlightenment, is because they choose to not empower themselves or give the power to themselves. They perhaps give the power to their environment.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
By osmosis alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you end up blaming everything else but
You.
yourself.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's the only way to give your power back to yourself, is to blame yourself.
I prefer to take accountability.
I mean, you would have put it pretty, yeah, but
Yeah, of
that's
course.
the way I see it.
I live with this vessel, you know. You get me? Like when she called me handsome, it's like, yes, you're not
No.
wrong. Because that's how I see myself. It's true.
That's real, but I say blame yourself because everything falls underneath that. If it's a good thing, blame yourself. If it's a bad thing,
Yes.
though, you should also blame yourself.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But I feel people don't blame themselves when things go good.
No,
That's
they
what,
don't.
yeah. And I'm like,
They
so what
don't.
did you do all this for then?
Yes, you're right. And then that, that puts you off balance, because now you don't necessarily see the greatness. You just
Yeah,
see
man.
the
Mm-mm.
potential for greatness.
Mm.
And that's a shot in the foot, man. That can trip you up when it truly matters,
Mm-hmm.
when you're about to reach that pinnacle. You can't get there because you never really believed it in the first place. And I think
Mm.
that's where it really matters, because in certain situations, that could be the difference between you maintaining or not.
Yeah.
There's always battles,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to decide whether you're going to fight this before it comes. You got to anticipate. It's
Mm.
like boxing. You can't wait for the punch to be landed and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I'll get the next one. I'll duck the next one. Like, it don't
And
work like
even
that.
though, yeah, man.
It don't work like that, man. So for me, that's why I say, preordainment. You've got to bet on you. You've got to make it
Mm.
happen for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I
It-
think my bet is I know things are going to be good. Like, I know I'm going to be all right.
yeah,
I know. Like, what?
yeah.
How many chances I've taken? We got more to take. We're going to be straight. Like, bro, I'm literally from last year, I was like, let's get it, man. Let's get it. Like,
Yeah, man.
what
Don't wait for
else?
anybody to give you your
Yeah, bro.
flowers,
Like,
man.
what else? That's why I'm saying I give me them now for even being so bold and daring. And then more when I take the steps and the actions, and when I fuck up, excuse my language, and when I do good,
All
because
good.
it's like, um, if not who and when? Do you know what I mean?
Correct. Correct.
Shout out Snoop, man. He said, "Thank you to me."
Yeah.
And bro, I wrote that, tattooed it on my brain. Thank you to me,
I
because
wanna
it's like,
thank me. Yeah, man.
yes. And the confusing part for me that comes with the preordainment part, depending on the perspective you're at, when we put religion in there, is when they say,
Mm.
"Oh, this is God's victory." I'm like, yeah, but God did not. Did God not breathe life into you? Yes. So why do you feel you don't owe yourself any credit for following through the task? And they freeze and they go, well, and I'm like, but I always say, don't forget you in the equation.
Don't forget you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, Strings. We just reached the hour mark.
Yes, we did.
I think we're gonna wrap this up now. But any other
No,
expressions
bro, I
before we
think
leave?
I'm just gonna bring some more questions beforehand for the next one, because I really forgot I didn't, but this is fun as hell.
It's not bad, is it?
Bro. Like, yeah, man. Glad I jumped on this. I will always say that. Thank you for your platform. Yeah, man. Sky's the
It's all
limit.
good,
There's
man.
no limit, but you know what I mean.
Mm. I just want us to get comfortable first, and then I'll start to invite a few more people, and
Mm,
I'll keep putting it out there, and just start to really push the algorithms. I need to write up, the descriptions and all that kind of stuff. So I'm
okay. Oh,
trying
so
to
that's how it
trying to
works
see how to do it.
on here, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Once the video's up, I can do that, and I'm working with someone that's showing me right now. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If there is a way actually, with how you can just ping the video in it, please let me know. Send it, because I dropped a video the other day on YouTube.
Mm.
I'm like, what, man? Let's go. Got some views, man. I was like, you see that? YouTuber, click like and subscribe. You get
Come
me?
on, man. Come on, man. This is
Weird
what we do.
feeling. People coming up to me, they're like, "Oh, I saw what you posted the other day." Um, and I always say, I have this rule: if one person says something to you, that means
Mm.
50 people have seen it. They just chose not to say anything.
Yeah, you'd be surprised because what it is, a lot of people see the video that don't subscribe,
Mm,
but they don't count. It's normally only your subscribers that you see.
okay.
Only people that subscribe to you, those are the ones that get recorded on the stat.
But either way, these messages, these jokes, this knowledge is gonna get pushed, man. This artistry is gonna get pushed.
Yeah, man. I mean, with these videos that we're gonna do, it's just I just need to build up the consistency.
Mm,
Because I've seen it so many times, especially when I used to do on TikTok. After a while, it's just like, man, I have like 10 people on the lines and stuff. But we will get TikTok on this one as well.
okay.
I'll connect to my page and stuff like that, and maybe we work our way to Insta, different things like that. I just want to take it
Yeah.
slow. Slow.
Yeah,
You get me?
definitely. Of course. I think I'm excited to see what platforms really stick with what it is that we do, like
Man.
as a collective and as individually as well.
Mm.
Because I'm like, I want to try this. Because when you told me about the whole monetizing thing, I was like, you know what? Why don't I just put on YouTube? Do you know what I mean?
Bro, don't get me wrong. It's not overnight. It's not an overnight thing.
Of
It takes
course,
time.
of course, of course.
But come on, man. That's what we do. You get what I mean?
Mm, mm,
A lot of these people that presenting and all kinds of, they're all writers anyway. You get what I mean?
yeah,
So it's nothing new, man. But we'll get there, Strings. We'll get there, man.
of
Just
course, bro.
keep it moving. All right, my bro. Good to see you. Take care of yourself.
Likewise.
Most likely Wednesday. I don't think I have a night out on Wednesday.
Oh,
But
I'm
I will
going
be out on
to
Thursday. So.
funny. I'm going to a poetry thing Wednesday, home Thursday.
I'll be out on Thursday.
Friday?
I'm performing. I've got a night shift on Friday.
Okay. Saturday?
Probably Saturday.
Oh, so the days that you told me is what you can stick to. Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Well,
Friday.
this week anyway. Because
Okay. All right.
But we'll negotiate. But I think
Yeah.
Saturday should be safe.
Okay. Yeah. We'll double check.
All right. And what I'm gonna try and do, I'm gonna try and pre-book it. I'm just write it up and just leave it there. And so when it's time, you probably show up on your page, and you can see it title. But I'll pre-invite you as well.
Okay.
And
all right.
All we have to do is just turn up.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
Yes. You
Take
heard
care.
it live and direct. Mad Poet.
Yeah, Mr. Strings, take care of yourself.
Yes, sir. Take care.